cut down vacuum cap, carburetor. My, aren't you just a show dog? Here's our switch after the JB weld is dried. I know it looks terrible, but it holds it in place. And it's the original switch. You'll never see it up underneath there anyways. But check this out. Oh, that's gorgeous. Original switch, original knob, 1967, 1 year only. Much nicer. Hold on so I can see. Oh yeah, there's everything. Okay. Alright, now let's put it together. Let's see here. What do we have here? Look at those arms. Hey, before we put this thing together, tell you what I'm going to do. Let's we can Isn't that nice? Okay. Let's take this clip off right here. Now it's a Norman. Okay. And this warpy washer. Oh, there you go. And then this should come out of here just, well, you would think it would come out of there, wouldn't you? Maybe that little gizmo comes off of there. No, that's a bushing. Well, well. Look at that. Does this have a... Well, I'll have to study that some more and see exactly how that comes apart. I thought I would be able to impress you and just rip it all apart, but again, it's going to cost study. Alright. I've taken the other side apart as far as I can take it apart. And the reason I say that is because it's got a clip that's just too small. Because it has a clip that is just too small. Because it has a price that is just too high. Okay, we take that little clip off and the little warpy washer, and then we can pry this kind of this arm out. I've taken this nut and this warpy washer out here. So this portion should come out of there. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to take the shaft out of the, because it's a little hard, and what they have here is they have a clip, and I've made out of my a pick, I've flattened down one side, and I've been trying to get the little, it is infinitesimal. It is so small. It won't come off. I don't have a way to get that off there. So what I did is I did the best I could, and I shot a little oil on it. And then I chased it with a little bit of something that's kind of a solvent, maybe to get the oil down in there. I don't know. But I mean, it turns all right. But you know, ideally, what I would like to do, ideally, is I would like to take this apart and put some grease in it. That would be really cool. But you know, it's brass, so yeah. I would think that it's its own bushing, and it doesn't need to be greased. So I'm going to continue to oil this and grease it, whatnot like that, and try to work some oil and some of that lubricant into it, and make it as free as it can. And it's pretty free, you know. But I would really like to be able to put grease on that. So what are you going to do? And then of course this portion right here, all I did is I just take a little dab of grease and put it on that shaft there. Yeah, that'd be nice. And a little in that hole. And I'm going to put her home like that. Maybe a drop of oil on it. Yeah. Okay, we're all finished with this. It's a beautiful bit of trickery. I'm used to working on Japanese cars, and the Japanese cars are throwaway. The magazine I used to read as a kid, Mad Magazine, I don't read that anymore because, well, plainly obvious, but most magazines, newspapers, and media outlets, I would say probably 99, 44, 100% of the things you see on TV are slanted towards the agenda of the Democratic Party, and that is to change America, because America needs changing. You know, it didn't operate properly for 200 years. And they want to change America in the name of fairness. You know, it's not fair. It's not fair at all. In fact, those of you that don't think it's fair, you need to take and send me half of your pay to my post office box, because it's not fair that you make that much. And yeah. So back to this. Beautiful piece of machinery. They don't make this anymore, and it reminds me of a story out of Mad Magazine, and it was called Then and Now, and it showed then, and this guy sitting in front of his, or standing in front of his Model T in front of a mechanic, and he said, what was wrong with the car? And he said, the mechanic said, your Thelmain wire had been corroded, so yeah, Thelmain wire. What's that Thelmain wire? Was corroded, and so I replaced it. That will be 10 cents, please. And then now it showed a modern car, guy standing in front of it, mechanic, and he says, what was wrong with the car? And he says, the mechanic says, your Thelmain wire was corroded, so I had to replace the engine, and that'll be $4,000, please. So, okay, what I'm going to do to this is we're going to start putting these systems in the car, but there's only so far I can do. I'm going to run some more wires, and there'll probably be another part of hooking them all up, but I'll have all the wires in the car, and some of the parts and stuff. I can't really do it until the car gets buffed, because there's a lot of pieces that need to go into the dash, and they need wipers need to go through here, and switches and such like that, and I really can't do that. So one thing I can tell you, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a battery cut off here, and the battery cut off is not going to be for the positive side, but it's going to be for the negative side. And then I'm going to run a wire, dedicated ground, up into my glove box, which I'm going to make. And I didn't like the little fiber one. I'll probably make it out of tin, weld it together, and make a nice little tin box there for that. I'd rather have that. And I can use that for my stereo if I wish. But my alarm system and my GPS will be in there. It will be a silent alarm, of course. You don't want, well, some of you do. I don't. want an alarm that's going to make a lot of noise. I just want it to contact me via my phone, because an alarm with a horn on it or a siren will scare the person away. And I want to catch them. See, because if I can catch them, it'd be one less person trying to steal your car. See, you don't want to steal them, scare them away. You want to actually catch them. The ground wire will be coming up and going over there, and that will be a permanent ground. So when I have my battery cut off on there, it will still be providing power to my GPS and my see, that way when it gets stolen, I can track it and that kind of thing. I can catch them. That's what I want to do, because I know what's going to happen. The shenanigans. And shenanigans won't happen with teenage kids. And you want me to tell you why it won't happen with teenage? It won't be some thrill. It'll be an actual people that go out and steal these cars, these particular cars. And the reason why it won't be youth doing it is because of this right there, the Millennium car alarm or anti-theft device right there. That and a clutch. The millennials do not know how to use a stick shift and a clutch, so it won't be young people doing it. It'll be professionals. And you go to these car shows and stuff like that, and they'll be looking at the places where you would, the hotels, motels and stuff at these car shows. There'd be, stacks of bugs, and people get them stolen because they don't have what they should have. And you go to these places, you go well armed, and you go well armed with your wife having your six, and you have GPS, and you have a silent alarm, and you catch these bastards, and you put them in prison or in the ground, one of the two. So, anyways, enough of my politics. Let's get going on this, on the wiring and such. Okay, out of the 69, we have this harness here. And somebody has taped off this, so they've put the wrong master cylinder on it that did not have the safety switch on it right here for the test light, push button test light, to see if your brakes were pressure was alright. And this wire here, the red wire, is this red wire that goes up to that push button switch in the dimmer, or in the dash. So we do not need this red wire. I'm not going to cut it off. I'm just going to tape it back. We do not need these. I'm not going to cut them off. I'm just going to tape them back. And this black and red wire goes to the fuse panel, and then these two go to the switch. There's two switches on the master cylinder, and I've already tested this. When you touch these two together, this has continuity through here back out to this black wire, which we will connect to our red wire that we soldered, if that makes sense. So let's put this in real quick. Alright, si vis pacem parabellum, If you wish peace, you have to prepare for war. Here's my dedicated grounds. I ran two wires because I didn't have a heavier wire, and I wanted to do it in brown because brown is the ground. Okay, so I ran that down and used some heat shrink and some cable ties and ran that up, and since I had that sealed up already, I used my brake light grommets and I run them through. The carpet will cover those. Again, these are dedicated grounds, and they will run up to my tin box up here. There isn't a tin box, but there will be. So that will be a live ground, that tin box. Because I have a ground shut off. There'll be a ground shut off. Okay, our brake lights. Let's see if I can see a flashlight around here somewhere. Did I have one? Thought I had one. Yeah. let's see. Well, here's a sort of a flashlight. Let me find a better one. I taped those up, and then I run some heat shrink on them to cover up the tape. That wire there is for the on the newer Beetles. There's 3 of them, I think. Maybe there's only 2. Maybe one of them's 4, but it can't be that because there's 2 there. So I'm thinking the new Beetle has a 3. I should say new Beetle 68 on up has 3, and that the 3rd one is for to tell you that you have brake pressure, because you can't push down on the pedal and find out that you have brake pressure. What? Yeah, well, it's an American thing. They made them do that. Okay, I ran that up there. There's a little spot there where it goes. This is an original cable, so that's great. Doesn't matter which one you put where, because they're just switches. They're just on-off switches. That's fine. And put it up through there with a grommet, and I put it up through there with a grommet as well. Now this one goes to the number 1 position on the fuse box, and in the book it shows there's 3 lugs on that. So the 3rd one, I don't know what it goes to, but we will address that when the time comes. And then the black wire, I put some heat shrink around it, and it's the male portion, like that one right there. And then I took a female. No, it's a female portion. I took a male and put it in there, and that goes to our brake light. So if I had a fuse in there and the battery was in and I hit the brakes, I should have power going to those wires back here. Okay, next I will have a look at some other systems here, these kind of mini systems. This is the one I want to explore next, and this is I believe from a bus, because the only one I can find, or maybe a Gia, but I think it's a bus. I think they took that out of a bus, because this has all the same connections on it. But these are dandy wires. They're just beautiful. So we're going to take all these off, and we're going to put them on that, wire by wire by wire, and then we're going to chase as to where they go. That's what we'll do next. This has the exact same, it's the same for a Beetle, a bus, Gia, whatever. They all have the same systems, and pretty much they use the same color wires and the same color, or the same code. They all have horns, they all have turn signals, they all have brake lights, that kind of thing. So we're going to be very close, and we're going to have the original wires. I believe these are going to work famously. So let's get into that. Don't do like I did and put it together wrong. So I had to take it all back apart again and put that little contact plate on right. But it's correct now. Okay, that being said, for our light switch, I decided, since there are so many things going to that and going to that blinker relay and stuff, and one of the things that were going to it was the turn signal switch. Okay, so I mounted my my piece of metal right there, and I put a screw in it. Now I know that's hideous. I understand that. We'll get a different screw, but for right now that'll be fine. And I don't have the nut or the washer for the steering wheel because Abner lost it. But I'm able to put this up there. There was a couple of wires that were questionable, and I did what I could to repair them. So I've got them fixed, the wires fixed. I've got a little length on them, a little better, so that they will be able to go to the places that they need to go. So now we can, once we've got that on there, and it does cancel. Also, what I figured out is this tube was too far down, so I had to loosen these bolts up and move this tube up and then tighten the bolts up, and that gave me a little bit more purchase here also. So that was that. And you need to make sure that when your steering wheel is straight and you've got your tube, the tube is in such a way, if you have an additional lock like this, that when you pull the lock out or the key out, the lock locks, because you can push that forward and you can push that backwards, where it's you play hob trying to lock your steering wheel. So that's one thing you want. So trying to figure this out one little bit at a time. Okay, let's stick these wires up through here and our grommet, and we'll start connecting them to the various apparatuses. Alright, I've got my wire come through for my turn signal assembly, and comes out back behind here, and one wanted to go on the flasher relay, not flasher relay, but high-low beam relay, and then 2 wires off of that went on the 3rd and 5th slot of the back of the fuse panel, so we did that. 3rd and 5th slot. The 4th slot is a kind of a bridge. And then there was a large brown wire, and the brown wires are always grounds. So this goes over to the wiper switch. And if I'm not mistaken, the wiper switch is probably that right there, that hole right there. So that's going to ground the wiper, and then it grounds something else. I'll have to follow it and see. So we've got that, and then so I started to work on the wiper, and oh, I better show you this first, because this is tricky. There's a bit of trickery here. But it's plain if you can read a schematic. There's a bit of trickery. This, I wish I had a pointer. The black wire, if you look at the black wire, it says 1.0, and then see that microscopic little plus? Oh, isn't that nice? It's microscopic, right? It looks like it goes on 31. Oh, nay, nay, sir, it does not. The brown wire, the ground wire, goes on 31, and then the ground goes up to the wiper motor. That's 31B. 1.0 right there that goes to the fuse panel it goes on the plus. And on my switch there's not a plus, there is a 30. And I remembered all the power wires are 30. And then 53A and B are the slow speed and fast speed, I believe. So let's go over here to the wiper and look at it. Okay, so we're going to do a little test drive with Toby. I have 2 grounds here, and the reason being I have 2 grounds is I need a ground for the switch, and that is these 2 lugs right here. Which is 31 and 31B, I believe. And then the 30 over here, all the black wires are hot wires, it seems, black or red. And this the 30 over here, it says 30 on my switch, but it's plus on the schematic. So the original switch had a plus on it, but I don't have the original switch, so what are you going to do? So we'll do that. Well, no fuse, we're living dangerously, and we're just going to touch this, we're just going to touch this to the ground, see what happens. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Seems to work. Let's try the off position. Okay, and it shut itself off, as you see, because the switch is working. Okay, so let's turn 1 click to the right, and this should be the slow position. No smoke, no gnashing of teeth yet. Okay, let's try the fast position. One more click to the right. Ooh, look at that dog snowmobile. My God, that's going to fly. Okay, let's shut it off, and we'll return it to its park position. There it is. And indeed, our wiper motor does work. Our transmission works. Actually, famously, our switch works good. We know how it's wired, so our switch will work fine. This has to come and go to a fuse, and then of course it will be chassis ground, so we're going to have to make sure we have a good chassis ground. And then of course the wire that's coming off of the turn signal switch will plug into that terminal right there, and that will provide our ground for our switch. Trick, huh? Well, we got her pretty much wrapped up. We have a ground here, and of course a black and white and a gray. The gray is the parking, black and white is left turn, and then we have our high beam, low beam, and we have our ground, a brown ground. The grounds come up here and they have eyelets, and as I'm looking in this car, there's no holes, and I found this which has a bunch of terminals on it, and I'm wondering where it came from. Did it come from this car? Did it come from, it had to have come from the 69, because see that tiny little terminal right there? That goes on the push button brake switch. So not quite sure about that. The grounds there, grounds is not a problem. We're just kind of lining out some of these wires and seeing where they all go. We have the other side in. However, I am missing a ground to my light, but we can manufacture one. That's not a problem. And the headlight, that is, and a ground to the turn signal also. We can manufacture. That's not a problem. I haven't got any of that plugged in yet. I have my wiper and my switch and my dimmer and my flasher relay and my headlight switch. So I've kind of got a roundabout way. Oh, also I found the original wiring harness to the dome lights, and so I put that in. That wire poked back out, but there's the original wires. I pulled them back through with that, the wire that I was going to use, but I found that, and I got most of these systems out of that 69, and so I didn't have to make up a lot of them. We'll have to figure out where they all go, but it's relatively simple now. I'm kind of interested to see if my switch works, but right now I'm going to quit where I'm at right now as far as wiring, because I think I've got things pretty much figured out and working the best of my ability as far as you know, the car needs to be buffed and stuff finished before I can put switches in it and that kind of stuff. So I just want to kind of line all that out and have a good look at it and get a good start on it. So I'm going to close with that, and I do have some pieces left over from the 69, and we will these go to the relay, so I haven't got those in there yet, but you know, like I said, we can't go any farther unless it's going to become a mess unless I can get some switches in the dash secured and the wiper up there and stuff. I did find the wiper nuts. They go on the outside, and the warpy washers. Abner did not throw them away. Amazing. Okay. Oh, I've got a couple other things to show you, but we're done with the wiring part of it. Also, I wanted to show you the gentleman down in Texas I was talking about, the turn signal switch and how it mounted on the steering column. he had the correct light little holder. This is Bakelite, and the one in the 69 is plastic. Riveted on and screwed on. So now I have the correct piece for my speedometer. $5. Can't beat that. He told me his wife didn't want to be stuck with all the parts when he died. We have a storm brewing, so pardon the wind. UPS had come just before I went to go post this, so I should show you these parts that I got. I got a window rubber. Don't know which one this is for. Probably the windshield. This is from Wolfsburg West. I was told they have really good parts. I also was told that by the old guy in Texas, don't buy rubber parts from Wolfsburg West. Buy them from West Coast Metric. But you know, I've already bought them. So you know, what are you going to do? I'm just going to have to deal with it. So I can't keep buying parts, you know. That's windshield molding. It's either front or back. Probably back. This kit here, this is the foam kit for the headliner. Yeah, that's the headliner. I'm not going to open it up because it's white and it'll get everything all over the place. So this is styrofoam block. I didn't pay anything for that. What do I got here? Huh. Wonder what that is. Some sort of rubber for something. Well, there's some switch here. There's some switch. There's a switch and some clips. I'm gonna have to get into this, and some little rod ends, and I see some deals for the sun visor. I don't know what that is, what this rubber is for. I'll have to investigate that. I don't remember ordering that, but... And I have a switch here also, and it looks famously cheap. Famously cheap. Probably Chinese. And it has this big red jumper on it, just like the original one didn't. Pepsi challenge here, man. Pepsi challenge. You know, let's take that out of the bag and have a look at that. Okay. One of them was from Rock Auto, the Chinesium. That wasn't the right one. And here we have another, and it looks better than the other one. But originally ran a separate circuit to rear taillights. I don't know. I'm probably not going to use this switch though. I'll have to send it back. I know there's no return on switches, but I'll take a picture of my original switch and say, oh no. Why can't they make an original switch, you know? Why can't they make the freaking original switch? Window welting. That's for my pop-out seals. Oh, that's what those are. Those are pop-out rubber seals. Yeah, that's what those are. Okay, and there's some trim in there for my pop-out windows, along with some screws. Here's I bought this for $1. This was headline removal and installation, you know, $1. So you know, it's been a long time since I did one of these. I don't know how many headliner bows, so I think I got a half a dozen. And this is a pair of really nice reproduction sun visors. That's it for that today. But that switch is, you know, I need to send this back to them just in the package, just like this, and say, oh no. No, 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 no. No. And if they won't take it back, they can just have it. Okay, guys. Well, thanks for wrenching with me again. And I don't know when I'm going to get back to my next video. It's difficult to say the least. I've got a lot of work to do, which is good, which means I can buy parts, see, and you know, work at it at my leisure in the wintertime. So I don't know about Wolfsburg West. You know, order the parts from them and look what you get. Mine doesn't have a big doofy jumper on there like that. It looks like it's got some instructions. I'll have to look at this and see. Connect one of the piggyback terminals. Don't do it originally. No, do it our way. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I'm going to stick with my original switch as long as it works. Alright, see you later. Like and or subscribe. Have a good one. See you guys later. Strawberries.